You're sitting alone. The last message she sent was 2 days ago, no response since. You replay the last moment you were with her. How she smiled a little longer, leaned in a little closer. You felt it. You knew she cared. So why is she now silent? Your mind says she's losing interest, but your gut, it's screaming something deeper. What if I told you her silence is not rejection but a test? What if her distance isn't punishment but a signal? And what if your reaction right now will either destroy her attraction or make it unshakable? Comment below. I rise, not chase. That phrase will anchor your mindset for the rest of this journey. This video is for those who've ever asked, why is she ignoring me, if she said she cared? You're about to learn why women withdraw when they love you and exactly what you must do, not for manipulation, for mastery of self-presence and attraction. And if this message hits deep, support this channel, not for me but for the next man sitting in that same silence, wondering if she loves him or not. Number 1, she feels you, even when silent. While you're obsessing over her lack of response, wondering if you said something wrong, replaying every moment, like a movie on repeat, she's in her own world, feeling, watching, sensing. You think she's gone cold, you assume she's losing interest. But what you don't see is that her silence is speaking louder than her words ever could. A woman doesn't just disconnect randomly, she feels everything. Your energy shift, your insecurity growing, your neediness creeping in beneath your words. And when that shift happens, when you start depending on her validation to feel strong, she instinctively pulls back, not to hurt you, not to manipulate you. This is where most men break. They panic, they react, they text back faster, call more, post to get her attention. They let the fear drive their next move. But the truth is, every time you act from fear, you prove to her that you're not who she hoped you'd be. She's not ignoring you because she hates you. She's seeing if the strength she thought she saw in you was real or just performance. She wants to know if you crumble when she retreats. She wants to feel if your energy remains steady when hers withdraws. That moment of silence isn't just silence, it's the battlefield of attraction. And the man who survives that battlefield isn't the one who fights for her attention, it's the one who doesn't need it. She feels when you're grounded, she feels when you're unbothered, and most importantly, she feels when you're trying too hard to keep her close because you're afraid of losing her. Attraction isn't built in comfort, it's built in tension, in the unknown, in the test. So what do you do when she pulls away? You stop chasing, you stop asking why, you stop replaying conversations. Instead, you start building your power. You hit the gym, you tighten your schedule, you master your time, you double down on your mission. Because women are not drawn to your words, they're drawn to your gravitational pull. The quieter you become, the louder your energy speaks. When she withdraws, let her. When she ignores you, hold the line. When she doesn't validate you, validate yourself. Because the minute she sees that your peace doesn't depend on her presence, her curiosity will ignite. That's how nature works. What runs away becomes desirable. What clings becomes repelling. Every time you prove that you can stand still when she moves, you're becoming the man she thought you were at the beginning. The man who had purpose beyond her. The man who had peace within chaos. The man who didn't need her love to love himself. So how do you pass this test? Start with your presence. Kill the urge to text. Replace it with action. Go so deep into your life that her absence feels like silence, not loss. Show her not through messages, but through your indifference, that you are the type of man who attracts, not chases, that you don't panic, you pivot, that you don't beg, you build. Because while she's trying to feel you in your silence, what she's really hoping for is proof that you are unshakable, not just in your confidence, but in your soul. Speak less, move with intention. Let your absence echo louder than your neediness ever could. You are not losing her, You are being watched by her emotional radar, and every move you make right now will either tell her you are just like the rest or unlike any man she's ever met. Now ask yourself, are you the man who needs her to respond to feel worthy, or are you the man who becomes so powerful in her silence she starts to wonder what she lost by pulling away? Number 2, you must be the wall, not the wind. While she's pulling away, watching silently from a distance, what she's really doing is measuring your gravity, not your words, not your effort, your stability. The second she senses you slipping into reaction mode, you start to unravel the attraction she was once curious about. If she sends one-word replies and you start over-texting to get a reaction, you lose. If she gets distant and you flood her with concern and validation, you lose. If she tests your boundaries and you backpedal to stay, like, you lose. Not because she wants to destroy you, but because she wants to see what you're made of when she steps back. A man who needs her constant attention to feel valuable is not a man she can feel safe around. A man who becomes emotionally erratic when she doesn't respond is a man she cannot emotionally trust. She needs to know that if the storm hits, your feet are still on the ground. That when she spirals, you stand tall. That when she tests, you don't flinch. Being the wall isn't about being cold, it's about being composed, not robotic, but rooted, unshakable, unmoved by the temporary chaos around you. Women are emotional by nature, not because they're weak, but because they feel deeply, intensely, quickly. But they will never surrender to a man who collapses the moment her emotions change. When she says, "I need space," she's not asking for a reaction, she's watching for one. Do you crumble and beg, or do you respect the space and double down on your purpose? When she's cold and withdrawn, do you start proving yourself, or do you stay present, grounded and centered in your truth? The wall isn't built by ignoring her, it's built by not being controlled by her emotions. That's the core. When her emotional ocean tries to crash against your peace, do you hold the shoreline or do you drown in it? You need to understand, emotional self-control is power, the ability to pause before reacting, to breathe instead of panicking, to observe instead of obsessing. That's what separates boys from men. That's what makes her feel safe. Not comfort safe, but soul safe. The kind of safety that makes her want to let go of control and rest in your presence. So what do? You stop asking her to regulate your feelings. You stop making her the center of your emotional world. You stop giving away your power just to stay in her good graces. Instead, you build your mission so strong that her puppily a rebel taunted. Silence becomes background noise. You build your life so meaningful that her moods don't disrupt your momentum. You train your mind so deeply that you don't react. You respond with clarity and composure. She doesn't want you to be indifferent. She wants you to be inevitable. She wants your presence to speak louder than your pleas. She wants your silence to feel like thunder, not retreat. And if you become that man, the wall, the unshakable one, then no matter how chaotic her storm gets, she will always come back to you, not because you chased, not because you proved anything, but because you showed her without a single word that you are the kind of man no storm can move. And in a world full of emotional winds and unstable ground, that kind of presence is rare and unforgettable. Ask yourself this: do you react every time she shifts, or do you anchor yourself so deeply that her tests don't trigger fear, but reveal your strength? And be the wall. She doesn't want to shake you. She wants to see if you can't be shaken. Number 3. Her chaos needs your calm. You've probably been there. She starts spinning emotionally. 1 minute she's warm and open. The next she's distant, irritated, or completely shut down. And you're standing there unsure if you should fix it, chase it, or walk away. Let me stop you right here. This is not the moment to react. This is the moment to anchor. Her chaos isn't an invitation for more chaos. It's a test, maybe not consciously, but emotionally. She's asking one question: can you handle me when I can't handle myself? Most men fail right there. They escalate, they match her mood, they get defensive, they try to talk her down. They try to solve the storm instead of standing still in it. But the man who understands this moment, he knows her chaos needs one thing: your calm. Stoicism isn't about pretending nothing affects you. It's about choosing what deserves your emotional energy. And most of her emotional surges, they don't need answers, they need presence. She doesn't want a therapist, she doesn't want a fixer. She wants to feel your center. She wants to know that when her emotions come unhinged, you don't. See, most women don't feel safe around men who fall apart when they do. If your identity crumbles when she has a bad day, she can't trust you with anything real. She may still date you. She may still sleep with you, but she won't respect you. And without respect, everything else dries up. So how do you become calm in the storm? You stop needing her emotional state to feel secure in yourself. That means you don't text just because you feel distance. You don't call just to make sure she's okay. You don't get triggered by her silence, her sarcasm, or her pullback. Instead, you become the man who responds, not reacts. You observe, you breathe, you hold eye contact without flinching. You listen not to fix, but to witness. Because sometimes the most masculine thing you can do is not move, not emotionally, not mentally, not energetically. And that stillness, it's what gives her space to come back to herself. She doesn't need you to fight the storm. She needs to see you standing when it hits. You don't earn her trust by overpowering her feelings. You earn it by refusing to be pulled into her emotional riptide. Now here's where the deeper truth hits. If you need her to be happy in order for you to feel stable, you've already lost the dynamic, because then she becomes responsible for your state. And no woman wants to mother the man she wants to surrender to. Your calm isn't silence to punish her. It's the container she didn't know she craved. Your strength isn't loud, it's quiet, firm, grounded. Real men don't win fights with women by talking over them or shutting them down. They win by not flinching, by making her feel like even in her worst moment she's not too much and you're still in control of you. That's what separates the emotional child from the stoic man. That's what makes her stop testing and start trusting. And the deeper impact, when she realizes she can't shake you, not because you don't care, but because you're that solid, that's when desire kicks in hard. That's when you go from another guy who got emotional to the man she can't forget. So next time she spirals, ask yourself, do I rise into this moment with strength, or do I collapse into fear, insecurity, or blame? Because that moment is where attraction is either built or broken. And just when she thinks she can shake you, let her feel something she's never felt before. Stillness, power. A man so composed that even her chaos becomes quiet around him. Let her see the calm. Let her feel the weight of your grounded presence. Because once she does, everything changes. She won't just want you, she'll trust you. And trust is where everything real begins. Next up, we'll talk about something even more powerful when you stop chasing her completely and she starts chasing you back. But right now, I want to hear from you. Comment, I don't chase storms, I anchor them. Let's keep going. Number 4. Let her walk, but leave the door open. There's a moment every man faces. The moment she pulls away, not with words, but with distance. A shift in her energy. Less eye contact, slower replies, a colder kiss goodbye. And deep down you know what's coming. She's leaving. Now most guys go into panic mode here. They chase, they beg, They write long texts trying to explain how good it could still be. But that's not what a grounded man does. The stoic choice, the strong choice, is to let her walk. Not as a punishment, not out of ego, but because forcing someone to stay is never the same as being chosen freely. When she walks, you don't block her, you don't guilt her, you don't turn cold to make a point. You simply say, okay. And you mean it, because here's the truth: real connection can't be begged for, and if she has to lose you to realize what she had, then so be it. Let her feel what life without your presence really feels like. Let her sit in the silence. Let her scroll through old messages and wonder why you haven't reached out. Let her notice that you didn't try to stop her, that you didn't explode or collapse. Because that calm, that will speak louder than any words ever could. But here's the part most men miss. You leave the door open, you don't wait, you don't chase, you don't put your life on pause. But you also don't become bitter. You don't burn the bridge. You don't shut off compassion just to prove you're strong. Stoicism teaches us this: the obstacle is the way. If she needs distance to understand your value, you let the space teach her. And if she comes back, she'll meet a different version of you. Not one that resents her, not one that throws the past in her face, but one who moved forward with or without her. Leaving the door open doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're healed enough to stay open without clinging. It means your sense of self isn't dependent on her decision. And that kind of man, that's rare. Most women don't leave expecting silence. They expect confusion, hurt pursuit. They expect you to fight for her, even if she already gave up. But when you don't, when you give her the freedom she thought she wanted without resistance, she starts to question everything. Because she realizes you weren't needy, you weren't desperate, you were clear. You knew your worth, you knew what you brought, and you knew that love, real love, isn't forced. It's chosen. So yes, let her walk, but don't slam the door behind her. Leave it open, not because you need her to return, but because you're a man who never had to lock love in to prove he was enough. Let her come back if she chooses, and if she doesn't, you're still moving, still growing, still grounded. She left a good man. That's her lesson now, not yours. And if you ever do open that door again, it'll be from a place of strength, not scarcity. Not because she needs you, but because you want it on your terms. Let her walk, leave the door open, and in the silence that follows, let her discover what she really left behind. If you've ever had to hold the door open and let someone go, not out of weakness but out of respect, drop a comment, I let her walk. Coming up next, we're talking about the one thing women don't expect from the man they left: freedom from needing closure at all. You don't want to miss this. Keep watching. Number 5. Stand still when she runs. There's a moment every man faces in relationships. She starts pulling away. Not because you did something wrong, not because she stopped caring, but because something inside her is overwhelmed, unsure, insecure. And what do most men do when that happens? They chase, they try harder, they send long texts, they explain themselves, they beg for clarity. But here's the truth: the more you chase when she runs, the faster she runs, because what she's doing isn't always about you. It's about her fear, her doubt, her resistance to intimacy, or her subconscious testing your frame. And when you respond with anxiety, you confirm her fear. You're not grounded, you're not calm, you're reactive. But what happens when you don't move? When she runs and you stand still? She feels it deeply, because suddenly the game breaks. The cycle of push and pull stops. And in that stillness, she sees you. You're not chasing, you're not collapsing, you're not trying to force connection. You're just there, rooted. Not to prove a point, not to make her feel bad, but because you know who you are with or without her. That's stillness, that's stoicism in motion. You're not punishing, you're protecting your peace. You're not begging, you're building. Because if she's truly meant for you, she'll come back. Not because you pulled her, but because you gave her space to realize your value. And if she's not, then you've dodged the pain of a lopsided relationship built on chasing. See, the masculine energy doesn't chase, it leads, it holds space. That means when she pulls away, you stay centered. When she goes silent, you don't panic. When she says she needs space, you give it with confidence. That energy is rare, it's powerful. And it's what creates real polarity, the kind of attraction that isn't just about looks, but about presence. Because let's be honest, when you chase, you look insecure. And insecurity is the fastest way to kill desire. But when you stand still, you become the mountain. And the feminine seeks the mountain, especially when her own emotions feel like a storm. Let's go deeper. When she runs, she might not even know why. She might say, "I just need time," or "I'm not sure where my head's at." Or she might just go quiet, hoping you'll react. But when you don't, when you say nothing but live everything, she starts wondering, why didn't he chase? Is he over me? Does he still care? And in that silence, she starts to feel the contrast. Your emotional independence, your maturity, your refusal to be manipulated through attention. Now listen closely. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't perform to earn care. You're not withdrawing to play games. You're just not collapsing to win them. You don't need to prove anything. You've already shown her enough. And if she couldn't see it, then she'll only see it through absence, not pressure. Stand still when she runs, because stillness isn't passivity. It's power. Stillness says, "I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to be myself. If that's not enough, you're free to go." And oddly enough, that is what pulls her back. Not the chase, not the words, not the begging, the silence, the grounded presence, the unshakable masculine. That's what flips everything. So if you've ever stood your ground instead of running after someone who tried to pull away, drop it in the comments. I stood still. Next up, we're breaking down what happens when she realizes you've stopped needing her to validate anything at all. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. Number 6. Become a man she can't shake. Let's talk about the guy she can't forget. Not the loudest guy in the room. Not the richest. Not the one who blew up her phone 24/7. The man she can't shake is the one who didn't need to prove himself because he was too busy becoming himself. You want to know what really stays on a woman's mind? A man who lives in such alignment, such focus, that even when he disappears, his presence still lingers. See, most guys try to stick in her memory by doing more. More gifts, more texts, more deep conversations. But the truth, a man who truly knows his worth doesn't need to be remembered. He just is. He doesn't beg to be seen. He doesn't force attraction. He becomes the type of man who walks away and still walks with her mind. How? By building a life bigger than her approval, by staying grounded when she pulls away, by choosing clarity over chaos, by saying less and meaning more. He becomes the standard, not the reaction. This is what Stoicism is at its core. It's not about being emotionless. It's about not being ruled by emotions, yours or hers. You want to be the man she can't shake. Then stop orbiting around her mood. Stop changing your direction based on her energy. And start moving like a man who's on mission. Here's what that looks like. You work on your body not to impress her, but to command respect from yourself. You pursue purpose not for validation, but for direction. You lead conversations not to win points, but to speak with intent. You don't flinch when she gets cold. You don't break when she gets distant. You don't beg when she's unsure. You say, "I get it. Take your time. I'm still good over here." And that confidence, that emotional independence, it will haunt her in the best way possible, because in a world full of reactive men you stayed rooted. In a sea of what are we energy you moved with. This is who I am. That doesn't mean she'll come back, but it does mean she'll remember you. She'll compare others to you, and she'll feel the weight of your presence long after you've gone quiet. The man she can't shake is the man who didn't need her to stay. He offered something rare: certainty in himself, stability in storm, silence that echoed louder than any speech. And when you become that man, you don't need revenge. You don't need closure. You don't need her to see your growth, because now you see it. And that alone changes everything. Women don't forget men who were rare. And rare isn't about being perfect. It's about being unavailable to chaos. It's about being the calm when she was confused, the stillness when she was scattered, the truth when everything felt uncertain. If you've ever felt that shift when you stopped being shaken and became the man who shakes others just by standing in silence, drop it in the comments. I became unshakable. And stick around, because what we're talking about next is the most powerful thing of all. When she realizes she can't replace you and you've already moved on, it's coming. You won't want to miss it. Number 7. She feels more when you speak less. Let's get something straight. You don't need to talk more for her to feel more. In fact, most men overdo it. They explain too much. They try to fix things with words. They fill silence because they think it's uncomfortable. But silence, when held with intention, is one of the most attractive masculine things you can bring into any relationship. Because when you speak less, she feels more. She's left with her thoughts, her feelings. She starts wondering what's going on in your head. She leans in instead of pulling away. That's the paradox. Most guys try to close the gap with noise, but real presence closes it with stillness. You don't have to go cold. You don't have to be mysterious just for the sake of it. But when you don't rush to explain yourself, when you sit in silence with confidence, you create emotional space. And in that space she feels you more deeply. She feels your restraint, your control, your self-respect. This is what Stoicism is built for. You are not required to respond to every trigger. You're not obligated to react to every emotion. Sometimes the most powerful thing a man can say is nothing, because silence is not absence. Silence is energy. It's tension. It's a challenge. When a man speaks less, she can no longer predict him. And unpredictability breeds curiosity. And curiosity, when paired with confidence, is magnetic. Now look, this doesn't mean you play games. This doesn't mean you go quiet to manipulate. It means you've matured past the point of trying to win her over with words. You don't need to explain why you feel what you feel. You show it in how you move, how you hold your gaze, how you sit calmly when she's flustered, how you end a conversation when it's going nowhere without raising your voice, without pleading. Less is more, if the silence carries weight. Let's make it practical. You don't chase closure through long talks. You don't spill your emotions in text just to be understood. You don't ask her what's wrong 100 times hoping she opens up. Instead, you observe. You stay present. You let the energy speak before the mouth does. Because most communication isn't verbal anyway. It's the way you look at her. It's the way you don't rush to fill every pause. It's the way you can sit with tension and not flinch. And the truth, that's what stays with her. She remembers how you didn't react, how you didn't explain yourself to death, how you didn't panic when she got distant. She remembers your calm, not your commentary. That's what makes her feel more, because now she has to come to you. She has to feel her own thoughts. She has to lean in to understand you better. And in that pursuit, attraction builds. Real men don't perform. they embody. And when you embody presence, you stop relying on words to be understood. She feels the message before you ever say a thing. So here's your shift. Stop speaking to fix. Start speaking with clarity, and know when to stop speaking altogether. Sometimes your silence is the only sentence she'll remember. If you've ever noticed that your quiet confidence had more power than your words ever did, drop it in the comments. She heard me without a word. And keep watching, because next we're talking about what happens when she pulls away but still watches everything you do. Let's go deeper. Number 8. Her body pulls back, her heart stays. You've felt it, haven't you? That moment when she starts acting colder, less touch, fewer calls, more "I just need space." And suddenly the girl who used to light up when you walked in the room now barely makes eye contact. Your gut says she's done, that she doesn't care anymore. But slow down, because what if her body is pulling back, but her heart never left? Here's the truth nobody talks about. A woman can physically withdraw while still being deeply connected to you emotionally. And most men screw it up right here. They panic, they chase, they think she's gone, so they try to drag her back. But if you react to the surface, you miss what's really going on underneath. Because sometimes pulling away isn't about disinterest, it's about overwhelm. It's about a woman wrestling with emotions she doesn't fully understand yet. When she pulls back physically, it could be her trying to get space from herself, not from you. She's trying to regulate her own feelings. She might feel too seen, too vulnerable, too drawn in. And instead of saying, "I'm scared I care this much," she creates distance. But that doesn't mean you're forgotten. It means you've triggered something real. You've touched something in her identity that's unfamiliar, maybe even frightening. And in that space you have two options. You can panic, or you can anchor. A stoic man knows her pullback is not an invitation to chase. It's an invitation to trust your stillness. Because if you chase, you confirm her fear that you need her closeness to feel okay. But if you stand firm, if you don't guilt her, don't pressure her, don't fill the silence with neediness, she feels something different. She feels your depth, and that depth reaches her heart even when her body pulls away. She starts thinking, why isn't he reaching out? Why does it feel worse now that he's not around? Why do I miss him when I was the one who pulled away? Her heart is still in the room even if she's not. And that's where your presence matters most. Not by chasing her body, but by staying in your lane fiercely, calmly, silently. Let her feel the contrast. Let her feel how you don't flinch when she creates distance. Let her realize that you're not emotionally fragile. Because here's what happens next. The distance she created to feel free starts to feel empty without you in it. She begins to notice your absence in places she never did before. The quiet starts getting loud, and in that stillness, she starts to miss the man who never begged for her to stay. You want to know what makes a man unforgettable. It's not what he says when she's close. It's what he doesn't say when she pulls away. You're not punishing. You're not proving. You're rooted. You become the kind of man she can't unfeel, because she remembers how safe it felt to be near you, even when she was trying not to feel anything. And when she's alone, when the texts stop, when your energy isn't chasing, that's when her heart speaks louder than her body ever did. Let her miss you, not because you're playing games, but because you know your worth isn't up for debate. Her body may need time, her head may need space, but her heart, it never lies for long. So, when she pulls back, breathe. Don't react, don't chase. Let her go just far enough to feel how deep your silence reaches. And when that moment comes, when she feels more without you than she did beside you, you'll know. You became the man who never had to run after love, because love never stopped running toward him. If you've ever watched her body step back while her heart stayed locked on you, drop a comment. She felt me in silence. Stay here, because next we're unpacking the power of non-attachment and how the moment you let go for real, everything starts coming back. Number 9. When you stop trying, she starts craving. Let's flip the script for a minute. You've been the one texting first. You've been the one trying to keep the spark alive. You've been the one holding the connection on your back. And guess what? She got comfortable. Not because she didn't care, but because you did too much of the work. When you keep showing up no matter what, she starts expecting you will always be there. And comfort is the killer of desire. Now here's the twist most men never learn. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to stop trying. Not out of anger, not out of manipulation, but out of self-respect. When you pull back, when you stop overextending, over-explaining, over-pursuing, something shifts. Suddenly, your silence speaks. Your absence stings. And the very thing she thought was guaranteed feels gone. And that's when the craving begins. See, desire is built in distance. It grows in the space where comfort used to live. But you don't pull back to get a reaction, you do it because you're done overcompensating. Because real connection only works when it flows both ways. And if you're the only one showing up that's not love, that's exhaustion. When you stop trying, she finally sees the effort you made. She sees the energy you poured in. She feels the void your presence used to fill. And suddenly, the man she thought she could always reach becomes a mystery. And women crave mystery. Now, don't confuse this with games. You're not going silent to make her suffer. You're simply shifting your energy back to yourself. That means you stop checking if she viewed your story. You stop writing texts in your notes app, debating if you should send them. You stop living on edge, waiting for her to match your effort. Instead, you focus on you, your work, your discipline, your space, your mission. And in that space, something incredible happens. She begins to feel the contrast. She notices how different it feels when you're not chasing, when your attention isn't readily available, when your energy is no longer centered around her. That's the moment desire wakes up. Because attraction doesn't thrive on comfort, it thrives on polarity, on uncertainty, on wondering, wait, what happened to him? You become valuable again, not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped handing yourself out for free. That's the heart of Stoicism. You don't react emotionally. You observe, you adjust, you protect your peace like it's your purpose. And when she senses that, when she realizes that she's no longer the axis of your life, that's when the craving kicks in. Because now you're not just a man, you're a force. You move with purpose. You don't beg, you don't explain, you don't convince, you walk. And if she wants to meet you, she has to step up. Because this time you're not walking toward her, you're walking toward yourself. She starts asking, is he seeing someone else? Why hasn't he reached out? Was I just another chapter for him? That's the power of withdrawal, not as punishment, but as truth. The truth that you will not chase what's not chasing you back. Let her feel the gap. Let her feel the quiet. Let her remember what it was like when you were fully available, and let her realize she misses it. If you've ever stopped trying and watched how quickly everything flipped, drop it in the comments. She noticed the silence. Next, we're talking about how to own this new energy completely. How to live in a state where you no longer need her to crave you, because you've already chosen yourself. It's where freedom begins. Keep watching. Number 10. Be the man she remembers when she's alone. Let me ask you something. When she's lying in bed at night, no makeup, no noise, no distractions. Who does she think about? Who comes to mind when the world gets quiet, when she's scrolling through old photos, when she's one glass of wine into a playlist full of memories? If you've ever meant something real to her, you don't disappear. Not completely. Because presence, real masculine presence, doesn't fade when your name stops popping up on her phone. It lingers. But only if you were that man. The man who didn't try to impress her every second but made her feel safe just by being near. The man who wasn't the loudest but the deepest. The man who said less but everything he said stuck. She remembers that man, not because he was perfect, but because he was real. And you don't become that man by chance. You become him through intention. You live with purpose. You don't need approval. You move in alignment. She remembers the way you handled conflict without drama, the way you didn't fold under pressure, the way you never begged to be chosen. Because that's the part that echoes when she's finally alone with herself. And that's when she compares, not to the guy texting her right now, but to the way you made her feel without even trying. Here's what most men don't understand. What she craves most is the feeling of being seen, known, and led with calm strength. You gave her that. And even if she ran, even if she ghosted, even if she said, "I need to find myself," she remembers. She remembers the way your presence silenced her anxiety. She remembers the way your calm made her feel safe. She remembers the way your absence made more noise than most men's attention. That's what stays. That's what plays in her mind when she's between lovers, between jobs, between versions of herself. Not the guy who tried the hardest, but the one who never had to. And if she's honest with herself, she'll admit you weren't just another guy. You were a moment in her life she still doesn't know how to replace. Now, don't get it twisted. You're not waiting for her to remember. You're not sitting around hoping she texts. You've already moved. You've already grown. You've already become even more unforgettable. Because while she was processing, you were evolving. While she was looking for attention, you were mastering your attention. While she tried to forget, you became the man who never needed to be remembered because you left an imprint, not just a memory. That's the Stoic way. You don't chase, you don't react, you lead yourself. And that leadership, that quiet, magnetic, unshakable energy, it's the kind of thing that doesn't show up in her DMs but shows up in her thoughts when she least expects it, when she's alone, when she's quiet, when she finally stops running from herself. Be that man, the man who walked with dignity, the man who stayed true to his path, the man who didn't crumble when she walked out, but stood taller when she was gone. That's the man she remembers when no one else is around and the lights are off. If you've ever been the one who stayed in her head long after you left her world, drop it in the comments. She remembers. So now you know what she remembers, what she regrets, and most importantly, what makes you unforgettable. If this video spoke to something real in you, you're not just watching, you're evolving. And that's exactly why this channel exists. Hit subscribe if you're done chasing, done explaining, and done waiting to be chosen. Because from here on out, you choose you. And if you're ready to go deeper to master your mind, your energy, your silence, join the Stoic Members Circle. We don't just talk about being men, we become them every day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Stronger, sharper, stoic,